Most of us grew up believing an AFL career was the passport to fame and fortune. Mark Eustice is here to tell a different tale, a chilling version of the dark side of life as a footballer who lost his way. Mark's life ran off the rails from early in his 137-game career, landing him perilously close to death's door. Undiagnosed psychological problems were compounded by depression, alcohol abuse and hard drugs. When he finally submitted himself to professional help, he was desperately ill and seemingly a lost cause. Fortunately, with a renewed will to rebuild his life and the help of a couple of former teammates and famous football names, he has survived. Welcome, Mark. It's been a trip to hell and back, hasn't it?
Thanks for having me, Mick. Yeah, hasn't been great, but we're sort of through to the other end at the minute. But
well, I admire what you've done. I mean, you've kept a diary. You know the number of days since you've been clean.
Yeah.
How many days is it now, mate?
2,970, I think.
So
yeah, nearly 3,000 days. Nearly 9 years, I suppose.
In that time, no alcohol.
No alcohol.
No drugs.
No drugs. No, nothing. Drink tea and water.
You've got your life back, haven't you? Now you're in work. You're working for Woolies.
This year, after 8 years, I didn't work. I was incapable, mentally and physically. I joined an agency, Manpower, when I finally decided that it was time to try and get into the workforce, and very hard these days. And what happened was I joined Manpower, and they contract workers to Woolworths, and I was lucky enough to get a job in the warehouse out at Mulgrave.
Talking about people being very good to you, I know that these guys have done it privately and because they're friends of yours, but Greg Williams and his wife Mary and Barry Mitchell, teammates of yours from the Swans days, they've been there for you, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I first started, Mitch, I was just out of control. I was drinking heaps.
Beer?
Beer,
yep.
Vodka. I was taking drugs, hard drugs, cocaine. It started off socially, and then it became just a daily habit, where I was just basically doing it every day. Anyway, Barry Mitchell rang me one day and he said, listen, do you want to go and see a doctor about this? And I sort of thought about it and I said, gee, I think I've just about had enough of this. I actually fell in love with the life there for a while, doing the drugs, buying the drugs. It just became a lifestyle for me. It was killing me a bit, it was exciting.
So Mitch sees you going downhill?
Yeah, Mitch sees me going downhill, big time. And I hadn't spoken to him for a while. He took me to, and he asked me, do you want to see a doctor? Which happened to be Dr. Ben Barassi, who at the time was Carlton Footy Club doctor.
Yep.
And he was a doctor at Ivanhoe Medical Centre, which is a rehab clinic. And I said to Mitch, yeah, I'll go. Yeah, yeah, come and get me and I'll go to the doctors. So I went to the doctor. Dr. Ben had met him before. And Ben just basically said, look, Mark, do you want to go to rehab? And just at that time, I think, then I was whatever age it was, I thought my age it was about 40 odd, whatever. But what happened was I had to get a spot in the rehab clinic because a spot had to become available. But then the big thing was, obviously I didn't have any medical insurance.
Or money?
When you got a drug habit like I had, and a habit that I had, I lost all my money, lost my real estate, everything that I had, basically. My job, I lost that. Now, rehab was $30,000. It was $1,000 a day.
That was for a month. You were supposed to go in for a month?
30 days.
Yep.
Yeah, 30 days.
Yep.
In steps Mary Williams and Greg Williams, who I knew from Sydney when I played up in Sydney, which I kept a few friends. And Mary Williams was terrific. She went about raising the money to get me in there. got onto the Barry Capuano at the Essendon Past Players, Mike Perry at the Richmond Past Players. I think it was Tony Morwood up at the Swans.
So they're your three clubs, Essendon, Richmond and the Swans, yep.
They put in money, don't know how much. To me, at the time, because I was waiting to get into a place and I was waiting to try to get the money, I was still going on my merry way. I was still taking the drugs, I was still drinking.
Cocaine was the drug of choice?
Was the drug of choice. I was still drinking, I was still going out, I was still going. And so I just didn't know what was really happening. You just lose complete control. And Mary was in the background trying to raise the money, and people were helping me out left, right and centre. I got a phone call and they said, look, we've got your spot in 3 days. I think it was on the Thursday, and you got to be in there on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. Are you going to go? I said, yeah, I'll be there. So what I decided to do, I thought, I've got three days left, I'll go on a bender. So I probably took more drugs than you could have in a lifetime over 3 days. I was on
Take your time. I know it's difficult.
Yeah,
So it was the lot. Just
yeah, I was taking drugs, cocaine. I started taking ecstasy as well for 3 days. I didn't sleep. I had half a dozen Carlton draft stubbies in the fridge and I drank those, finished off a gram of cocaine. And then Mitzi came up the driveway and I had a bag. I grabbed a footy out of the cupboard, a brand new footy that I had. For some reason, I grabbed a footy, put that under the arm. I don't know what I thought I was doing. Grabbed a bag, and off we went. I opened up the gate door, and with Mitchie said goodbye. I said, thanks, mate. He said, listen, I'll come visit you next Sunday. I said, yeah, thanks for all your help. I opened up the gate, footy under one hand, bag in my right hand. And as I opened it, I had about 50 people all at once just turn around and just look at me like this. And at that time, my legs went to jelly, my whole body just went, and I just said to myself, what have I done? Mm-hmm. What have I done to myself? How have I let myself come to this?
That was the moment of truth?
And then I went in there, and what I had to do was I had to detox for 2 days. So they put me in a room. At the time, I had to have a medical first. Ben gave me a medical. My face was grey and my lips were purple. My system was shutting down. Ben said, I probably had about another 3 days to live.
Gee.
He said, you're on your way out if you hadn't got here. They put me in a room to detox. All I was just in this haze of just, there was nurses coming in, people taking my blood pressure, people taking my temperature. There was, I think Ben come in, I was sweating, changing the sheets. But after about 2 weeks, I started feeling great. And I got through, I'm in this honeymoon period where I'm starting to feel really good. And we'd have activities and I got the footy out and I got everybody kicking the footy and we're all having a kick around and all the rest of it. But you get in this safe haven and then all of a sudden the 30 days is up and you do the program and everything and you sort of walk out and go, oh, shit, I'm out of here. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I've got no job, I've got this, I've got...
No, and you had no immediate family. Your marriage had broken down, hadn't it?
I was never married.
Your partnership, yeah?
Yeah, that was years ago, which was my fault and I regret that deeply. which that still weighs on me, and I did a very bad thing.
You talked to me, we've talked privately about this, and the relationship, I know it still hurts you deeply because there was a son from that relationship, wasn't there? And while all this was happening, Mark, did you see this all crumbling around you?
It had already crumbled. As I said before, you just don't see things. Everything, it's just all about the drugs. And everything else just...
Secondary.
Yeah.
Mark, I want to take you back to the start. You're a brilliant junior footballer at Essendon. Your father ended up being the mayor of the city of Essendon. You played league football at 17 at the Bombers under Kevin Sheedy. But what no one knew at the time, including yourself, was that you were bipolar, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think, is that the root cause of all these problems, do you think?
Yeah, because I always loved a beer. Like most people in the 80s, look, we go out and play. Saturday night, we go and get smashed, basically. And you go to a nightclub, there'd be Fitzroy players there, there'd be Hawthorn players there, there'd be Richmond players there, there'd be Carlton players there. I didn't know I had depression, and I'd never heard of bipolar. I was always down. I'd get very, very down, very down. And it became, when I'd go out sometimes to play football, I couldn't get out of the toilet. I'd go and sit in the toilet
Before the game?
Yeah, because I couldn't get out. I didn't want to get out. I didn't know what was wrong with me. But what had happened was, some days I'd be really happy and you know, if people would go out with me, I'd be the life of the party and, you know, all the rest of it. And next time they see me, I'd just be, couldn't get a word out of me. I'd be depressed and everybody would say, oh, Wally, which is my nickname. Are you up today? You're down. What are you going to give us today? Are you going to be good? You're going to be bad? Da, 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 da. And I just used to cop it all the time. And then when I went up to Sydney, same thing sort of happened, you know, with Cole Kinnear. You know, people didn't know whether and that was when I was starting to get it bad, when I didn't really want to go out and play. It was torture for me.
Really? What was it? Was it the fear of not playing well?
Yeah, the fear of not playing well, and because there was so much pressure on me because I used to get dropped so often in the reserves, and a lot of the times I'd play well. Like back at Essendon, we had so many good players. I played 29 senior games in 6 years, 100 reserve games. And it broke my heart to have to leave Essendon at the time.
Because you're an Essendon boy, weren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Strathmore. Yep.
I went to Essendon State School. I played for Essendon Little League. I was Essendon under-19s. I was Essendon Reserves. Essendon Seniors. My dad
was the mayor. Yeah.
Of Essendon. Yeah.
Yeah. So who cut your ties at Essendon? Was
me. You
did?
Yeah, yeah.
You said it wasn't working, you needed to move on.
I needed to move on to play senior footy. Under shoes, I never played one full game. Now, whether I deserved that or not's another thing. Every time I played reserves, I was always in the top 3 players. But I had to move on. But now I don't blame Sheeds. I've sat back and thought about it after it, and I think he was a coach for the now and not the future. What really hurts me is I didn't play one final in my whole career. I didn't get that experience.
That burns you, doesn't it?
That burns me big time. That's not as much as my not having connections with my son, which I don't blame him. If I was him, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't have anything to do with me if I was him.
That's a big call for a father to make.
Yeah, I'm not exactly father of the year, Mike.
No.
Or I wasn't. But...
Can you redeem that?
I don't know, maybe in time.
Because you met him, didn't you? You met your boy.
Oh yeah, we had some good times together. Yeah, we had some good times together. But then it all fell apart, which was my fault. But just going back to shoes, I wish I had stayed at Essendon forever and still be a part of the club in some shape, way or form. At the end of the day, Mike, I played 29 games and even playing a final. So I still feel a little bit out of place with those guys.
But it's relative, mate. I wanted to play your 29 games.
Well,
you know?
exactly.
I want to ask you about your time at Essendon, and this is not pointing the finger at anyone, but should they have been more aware of your swings in your moods and been more attentive to your mental well-being?
Yeah, I think so. In 1983, I played the first game on the bench out at Junction Oval against Fitzroy. After that game, I got dropped back to the reserves. And something just hit me. I just went down on a screaming heap. And the first half of the year, I just couldn't get a kick. I just couldn't get out of bed. I was just aching. My body was always aching. I was in pain. I'd go to training. I could hardly train. I got unfit. I got terribly unfit. I ended up getting dropped to the bench onto the reserves. The chairman of selectors at that stage, Brian Donahue, got me in. He said, "I want to have a talk to you, Mark." Took me into a room. He said, "Look, you're not going too well. Look, you've got to sharpen up here, or we've got to have a look at doing something with you." And I was 18, but that's how it was sort of. I'm not bagging Brian Donahue.
No.
Because I didn't know what depression was, In those days, footy clubs were, you got to, what's wrong with you, mate?
Yeah.
Come on, you better, stand up, be tough, get over it.
Isn't it funny that the change, we're talking in more recent times, Mitch Clark and the way the care that Geelong have shown for him, from Chris Scott down. Oh, you must empathise with...
Yeah, well, you see an image of Chris Scott with his arm around him going up the race after the game. Like that's how it is. I think he's kicked 2 goals. He's had a good game. Geelong have had a good game. They've had a win, and he burst into tears after the game. That's what happens.
Yeah.
I've done that numerous times. Just
in private. Would you make sure that no one saw it?
Yeah. I've done it a couple of people have seen me a couple of times, which was by accident. Or he just collapsed and burst into tears.
When we come back, Mark, are you brave enough to talk about a couple of those diary entries?
Yeah, that's okay, yeah.
You haven't touched an illicit substance or alcohol for 3,000 days?
Since the day I walked in that back gate, I have never, ever touched a drink, alcohol, and a little bit longer after for cigarettes.
Geez, you're entitled to be really proud of that, mate. Now this is painful, I know that, but you have diarised every day of your time since the rehab clinic.
For 9 years I've written diaries.
I've got an exercise book here that says, in your handwriting, no future, no hope, rotten life, depressed. It's a brave man who can do that, talk about himself like that. Are you up to telling me about one of the insertions in here that you wrote?
Yeah, this was Thursday, 7th of April, 2011. I was clean and sober for 1,580 days. Post-rehab, 1,560 days. I'd given up the smokes for 1,321 days, which is all right.
Can you do it?
Yeah, I can do it, yeah. I woke up in the morning. What another terrible day. No phone... Oh, sorry, this is the end of the day. What another terrible day. No phone calls in or out. Just massive depression. Down, flat, depressed. I'm in a horrible state of mind. Words can't explain.
Yeah, give it back. You don't want to go through with this, do you?
That's all right. Words can't explain how bad I feel. Can I swear?
Yeah, you can swear.
Well, my life is fucked, so fucking bad. no work, no women, no friends, no respect, no investment, no house, no money, no social life. Just a fucking fat gut. Fucking knots in my stomach, just like the old days. I just don't want to be here.
God. I can't believe you got the courage to write that. And you still stayed clean. That's a gutsy effort, mate. You're entitled to be really proud of that. Gee, it's sort of must, when you think back on it, do you know you're talking about yourself, or do you think this is some demon individual that was around for a period of your life?
No, I did it. I've got no one else to blame except myself.
What took you to the drugs, Mark, do you think? What took you to the cocaine and the illicit stuff?
I did dabble in it, not while I was playing footy. I want to stress that. Not while I was playing footy, I didn't do drugs. After I stopped playing and that, I socialised a bit, dabbled in it a little bit here and there. You know, I'd go to parties where it just always...
Was it prevalent in football?
No,
No?
not in those days. No, not that I saw. What I found was the up was so good, but the downs were horrific.
Mm.
So all of a sudden I just kept, I just kept doing more to keep up. I'll keep up. And I just didn't want to go down anymore because the downs were so bad. And I just got to a stage, look, I've just tried, I can't think of the years, I'm 52 now. I've been sober for 9 years. I was probably between 35 and 42, I suppose, something like that, without, you know, that I really had a good go at it. And then there was about 3 or 4 years I really had a real good dash at it, yeah.
Now, you and I both know Greg Williams well.
Yeah, we do.
He doesn't mince his words,
No.
Diesel. And he's a disciplined man.
Yeah.
What was he saying to you when this was going on?
Well, no one really knew because, as I said, I mixed in different scenes. I'll tell you what they did. When I was in rehab, I had nowhere to live. They found a shop. Look, it was no bit bigger than this studio. They went and renovated it. The day I got to rehab, I got picked up by someone, whatever. They said that Mary came and said, "Yeah, here's some keys. I'm going to take you around." There I walked into somewhere to live.
Wow.
And they just did it all for me. You know, they got my phone connected back. And then I was back round at their place about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and she dragged a file out of a drawer. I'll tell you, it was that big. That was all on me.
Was it? What you, on your footy career?
No, on all the shit that she had to sort out.
Oh, really?
And the stuff that...
So she'd picked up all your affairs? And
she just took over.
Yeah.
And like, it was a full-time job.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise, I didn't know.
The thing that, I genuinely am in awe of your courage for being so honest and so brutal towards yourself. But are you back on good terms with yourself now? I mean, are you...
I'm better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
your self-esteem...
Yeah, I think being employed has helped me. Has helped me a lot. It's been tough. I do shift work. I work at nights. You know, like Sunday nights, I start at midnight and I've got to go to work, you know, to all hours in the morning. That's what I do is I've got to do it. I stack pallets for a living. I've got to drive from Nidri to Mulgrave every day. But as I said, they've been good to me.
Have you been close to falling off the wagon?
No.
No?
Oh, no. I'm sweet now. I can go out socially now.
Yeah.
I can go anywhere.
So the hands have been out of Essendon, the welcoming...
Yeah, they help. Well, Barry Capuano and the past players and all that help. I sit around and there's so many people who have helped me.
Yeah, but you've got to be willing to be helped, and you have been. And I think that's, I mean, your resurrection is just amazing, and I think that's why they're prepared to help you.
Yeah, my family as well. I've got 3 sisters and my mother, obviously, who's getting elderly now.
Geez, you must have caused her some pain.
Yeah, of course, of grief, yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Take me to that dark place again. I don't understand it. When you know what you're doing to yourself, and you know you're frittering away your life and your relationship and the relations with your son, it's just the power of the drug, is it? That
Yeah,
makes
you don't care. It just takes control of you. We've been cousins, mate. All the stuff he does. Don't tell me he's not drugged up.
Do you see yourself and Ben at the same level?
I've never met the man in my life. I would never.
No, but in terms of the problem you
I
have...
only know what I see in that. Yeah, he's. I would say he's got a massive drug problem. I don't know.
If you happen to cross paths with Ben, just by chance, would you feel that you could talk to him and maybe...
If he wanted to talk to me, I'd talk to him, yeah. I'm open to talk to anyone that needs any help or wants to have a chat to me, that's fine.
Tell me this, do you think, on what you know of AFL football, that the game needs someone who's been there like you? Is there a problem of such a size that we need you to talk to the younger players?
I think maybe. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. I don't know who's got problems, but I'm tipping there's more out there that have.
Do you think that the problems are greater now for the younger players because of the scrutiny that's on them?
There's a lot of pressure on them because their careers can be cut short. There's only, 44 on a list or something, and all of a sudden it could be all over, you know. But they earn a hell of a lot of money. I think there's probably players with depression. Maybe.
Well, we know there is.
Players with drug use, I can't comment on that because I haven't seen anything and I don't know.
Look, mate, it's an extraordinary journey. I knew that you'd had your issues because that's what happens when you're in the football world. People talk about it, but to see where you've been and to see where you've climbed back to, you should be really proud of that. And you've been exceptionally brave to talk about it like you have, and hopefully there's some people out there that might be vulnerable in the same are going to take a lot of courage from this.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I hope. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, mate.
Thanks, Mark. Good to chat. Thanks for having me.
This has been a Fox Footy production.